Hi, my name is Harsha. In this video, I'll be speaking about extreme programming and how it makes code better. First, let's look what extreme programming is. Extreme programming is a software development framework which aims to produce higher quality software along with higher quality of life for the team involved. Extreme programming is built upon values, principles, and practices, and its goal is to allow small to mid-sized teams to produce high-quality software and adapt to evolving and changing requirements. Let's now look into the origins of extreme programming, how it was found, and how it revolutionized the entire software development cycle. Extreme programming's origins date back to the 1990s. Kent Beck created it when hired to lead the Chrysalis compensation system team. The project has started in 1993 and by 1996 the project hasn't progressed much. Since Beck was new to managing a team, he decided the best course of action would be to teach his team members the techniques and the practices that worked for him. Beck introduced the concept of structuring a project in 3-week increments. Upon further suggestions from his team members, Beck started applying the practices such as paired programming and test-driven development with great success. Let's look into the process that is involved in extreme programming. Extreme programming is very opinionated in terms of practices, and there are 5 phases involved in extreme programming which iterate continuously. During the commencement of project, a customer provides the requirements. The team identifies the overall goal and any constraint that will affect the success of project in planning phase. If there are any unclear requirements, spikes are generally created to get a clear estimate and requirement. By then, all requirements have been identified from previous step. So it's time to start developing a plan on how they will be met through code in designing phase. The goal here is to not just create effective code, but also design it in an efficient way so all the resources are used optimally. After finishing up the designs from earlier steps, then it's time for the developers to actually create their code. This usually involves in multiple iterations where first code gets built out quickly with simple features, followed by additional rounds where needed features are added on top until desired functionality has been reached. Then comes the testing. All the written code gets verified through different types of testing. Unit test verifies the individual pieces work correctly. Integration tests which ensure different functionalities work together properly. System tests which confirm larger components function like expected. Finally, in the listening phase, the code is really small and feedback is gathered from customers and the end users of the project, and the results and learnings are applied into the next iteration. Let's now take a look at what values are. Values represent a specific mindset of motivated team player who do their best on the way to achieve a common goal. There are 5 values in extreme programming. They are communication, feedback, simplicity, respect, and courage. To achieve best results, everyone should be on the same page. Teams should talk, explain, and understand among themselves. Once everyone is in the same direction, the team needs to re-evaluate themselves from customer feedback to ensure that the team is heading in the desired direction. The most elegant solutions are not the ones which are complex, but are those which are simple to understand. Being open to others and considering everyone's opinion and thoughts not only encourages people to share the great ideas, but also make sure you are heard too by others. Everyone on the team should voice out their opinions to introduce new ideas and achieve best results more quick. Let's talk about principles. Principles provide more specific guidance than values. They are the guidelines that illuminate the values and make them more explicit and less ambiguous. There are 5 principles in extreme programming. Rapid feedback is understanding the customer feedback and reacting to it in a right way. In incremental changes should be made in small scale, and teams should work on one thing at a time to avoid making the project more complex. Next one is to embrace the change. If a client thinks a product needs to be changed, programmers should support this decision and also plan how to implement these new requirements. For quality, a team that works well and makes a valuable product and feels proud of it ultimately assures the customer satisfaction. With simplicity, developers needs to focus on the job that is important at the moment and follow principles like you ain't gonna need it and don't repeat yourself. Now let's talk about the practices suggested by extreme programming while developing a software. There are 12 practices divided into 4 categories. In first category we have feedback, which consists of test-driven development, planning game, on-site customer and paid programming. Is it possible to write clear code more quickly? Yes, practices like test-driven development and paid programming helps us to eliminate the needs for longer code reviews. Planning game happens at the start of every iteration to decide what needs to be done during the specific iteration. On-site customer needs to be always present on to answer team questions, set priorities and resolve the disputes if necessary. Next we have group continual process where we have refactoring, continuous integration and small releases. In refactoring, the goal is to improve the code quality and reduce the redundancies so that team can easily understand and modify when necessary. In continuous integration, developers always keep the system fully integrated. Programmers discuss which parts of the code can be reused or shared. This way, they know exactly what functionality they need to develop. The policy of shared code helps eliminate integration problems. In addition, automated testing allows developers to detect and fix the errors before deployment. Small releases suggest to release the MVP quickly and further develop the product incrementally. With this, developers would be able to quickly identify the bugs in early stages and fix them. For code understanding, the design needs to be simple and the ownership should not be with a single developer, rather it should be with the whole team. The system metaphor is to have the design with certain qualities which should be easily understandable to new developers. The team should also have the same set of standards, formats and styles which would allow all the team members to read, share and refactor the code with ease. Extreme programming projects require developers to work fast and be efficient and sustain the product's quality. To adhere to these requirements, they should also feel well rested. Keeping the work-life balance prevents the professionals from burnout. In extreme programming, the optimal number of work hours must not exceed 40 hours a week. One overtime a week is possible only if there will be none the following week. There are different people involved in extreme programming who play their role to keep the project running. There are 4 different roles in extreme programming, such as developer, customer, manager, and a coach. A developer estimates the stories, defines engineering tasks from stories, and estimates how long stories and the tasks will take, and also implement these stories and also the unit tests. The customer drives the project. A customer sets goal, priorities, and explains the stories. He also makes decisions regarding the priority of features to be released first. A manager in extreme programming project is more like a scheduler, ensuring that the meetings occur as planned and the decisions taken during the meetings are passed on to the appropriate person. The manager, however, does not tell the people what to do and when to do it. This is done by customer or the user stories themselves. A coach generally ensures that the project is on tracks and jumps in to help when required. Coach also ensures that extreme programming practices are followed by each and every team member involved. So what kind of projects are best fit for extreme programming? Extreme programming could be best fit for the projects of certain style. It cannot be silver bullet for all the projects. Extreme programming is best when the project has frequent change in requirements, which also means that changes happen during an iteration. When the team is of size less than 8 to 10 people. And when team wants to mitigate the project risk, especially around the tighter deadlines. The development cycle is reasonably short, and also when the customers work closely with developers and the other players. We have learned about the extreme programming all through, but take a guess, which companies have actually incorporated extreme programming and are of huge success? Google search engine, one of the major successful projects which incorporated extreme programming during its development. Airbnb and AWS are also few projects which are successful by using the extreme programming. But is extreme programming still relevant in 2023? According to Fowler, extreme programming is basis for agile practices, and the values, principles, and the practices are used in many agile processes. Even though it is not widely used by companies in recent years, the practices like test-driven development, paired programming found their ways in almost every company across the world. Code reviews, coding standards, and the practice of every programming writing tests for the code they write are a must to make sure that the best quality software is shipped. This process together yield a high stable platform for future development. Thank you, and I hope you have learned something about extreme programming from this video.